Alright, what did you just see? Was it a flock of birds? Was it a school of fish? Or was it flocking nail powder? Well, mostly this one. So this is 320 lines of code something. I'm just building an aquarium to show off the code that I frankly get mesmerized by every time I look at it. So you have two classes taking care of all the hard work. You have a flock member, which takes care of carrying out the rules of flocking. And then there is a flock manager, which gives the rules to each flock member and also takes care of who is in the flock. Now, the flock should not be confused with the neighbors, because when you have a flocking algorithm, you have the three main concepts. One of separation. So each agent, every time it has an update, checks if there is any object too close to it. If so, steers away. Then there is through the concept of neighbors, which means those other individuals potentially in the flock who are close enough to be called neighbors. You move closer to your neighbors in the concept of cohesion. The third concept is alignment, which has to do with rotation and not position. So again, cohesion has to do with position, alignment has to do with rotation. And every time a flock member updates, it checks for these three criteria. It's going to happen a lot with the code in the future, but that's how it works right now. First I'll take a very short quick at the flock member script. It contains these variables. Actually, I'm not going to talk about it. If you have interest, you can just read it. But there's the enable method. On enable gets called instead of start or awake. I just like it better that way because you never know when something is entering the game. Then there's the individualized fish. It sets the fish update rate to not clog the CPU. Then there's the start swimming method. It starts the fish navigation. Fish navigation takes care of figuring out whether or not a fish wants to turn. If it's within the limits of the flock center. This bounds is defined by the swim limits set in the flock manager. But I'll get to the flock manager in a second. Then, if everything is good and well, we apply the rules. You'll see that apply rules is called in the beginning of fish navigation. And so fish navigation takes care of calling apply rules whenever the fish gets its behavior updated. Right. So you can have a look. And yeah, the flock manager is much more simple. It contains the variables that define how each member of itself can the limits of their activity. It doesn't define the rules as such. I misspoke earlier. On enable, the flock manager sets its own position. Then it spawns a goal game object, which is actually a center game object, just to show me and you where the center of the flock is. Then the center of the flock is set to that position. Then we initialize the fish, basically spawning them all. And we start the coroutine to update the center of the flock with some interval. All right. It all goes together this way. It gets set up like this. You have all these things you see on screen are spawners. They don't do nothing except spawn a flock manager script, flock manager object. Let's have a look at that object. The manager has these fishy settings, which decide exactly how the fish, what rules, what parameters the fish get to work with. And of course, how far they can swim from the flock and how spread out they are when they spawn. The fish is input in the flock manager, which takes care of spawning them. The fish itself sadly needs some components for collision detecting. The rigid body does nothing but ensure that you can detect the other. Anyhow, you'll see this wait time. The minimum wait time you see here indicates that if the refresh wait rate was 60, it would update every 60th second. This number is closer to every 40th second. So every fish that gets spawned will have a different update time. This is how you can get 500 navigating fish on the screen and not 20